My wife died giving birth to our son, but the hospital just called with news that changed everything. Sarah passed away 3 weeks ago from complications during delivery. I've been drowning in grief, barely functioning, just trying to keep our newborn alive while my world fell apart. The house feels empty without her laugh echoing through the halls. I'd been surviving on coffee and whatever takeout I could manage between feeding schedules. Yesterday morning, I got a call from the hospital. The nurse sounded nervous, almost hesitant. She said there had been a mix-up in the maternity ward that night. 2 babies born within minutes of each other, both to mothers with the same last name, Johnson. I didn't understand what she was getting at. My brain was still foggy from sleep deprivation and grief. She explained that due to the chaos of the emergency situation when Sarah's condition deteriorated, the babies might have been switched. The power had gone out during the storm that night. Backup generators kicked in, but in the darkness and confusion, they wanted to run DNA tests to be absolutely certain each family had the right child. I felt sick to my stomach. Not my son. The only piece of Sarah I had left, the baby I'd been rocking to sleep every night, singing the lullabies she used to hum. The nurse tried to reassure me. It was probably nothing, just protocol. But they needed to be sure. I hung up and stared at the baby sleeping in his crib. His tiny fingers curled around the blanket Sarah had knitted during her pregnancy. What if this wasn't even him? The DNA results came back this morning. My phone rang at 7:30 a.m. sharp. The baby I'd been caring for wasn't mine. My actual biological son was across town with another family, the other Johnsons, who had no idea either. I called my brother to watch the baby and drove over there immediately, hands shaking on the steering wheel. The address led me to a small apartment complex on the other side of town. Cars with dents, nothing like our suburban neighborhood. When they opened the door, I saw her first, a young woman who looked exhausted, dark circles under her eyes. Behind her, I caught a glimpse of him, my actual son. He had Sarah's eyes, her tiny nose, even the way his left ear folded slightly at the top. Everything clicked into place like a puzzle piece I didn't know was missing. The other mother, Lisa, started crying when I explained. She'd been struggling since her husband left when she was 6 months pregnant, working 3 jobs just to afford formula and diapers. Her baby, the one I'd been raising, had been fussy and difficult. She thought it was something she was doing wrong. Meanwhile, I had Sarah's life insurance money, the house we'd bought for our growing family, a nursery fully stocked with everything a baby could need. I'd been wondering why our son seemed so content compared to what other new parents described. We spent hours at the hospital sorting through paperwork, social workers, legal procedures. Both babies were sleeping in their carriers as we signed documents and answered questions. Looking at the baby I'd been caring for 3 weeks, Lisa's biological son, I felt this overwhelming protective instinct. I'd changed his diapers, stayed up all night when he had colic, memorized every expression on his face. Lisa was crying again, but this time it was different. She was holding her actual son for the first time, and he was calm in her arms in a way he'd never been with me. But she kept glancing at the other baby, the one who'd been living in my house. She whispered to me, "I can't afford 2. I can barely afford 1. That's when it hit me. Sarah and I had tried for years to have children. We talked about adoption, about having a big family, about giving kids who needed it a loving home. I looked at Lisa holding her biological son, then at the baby who'd been sleeping in Sarah's carefully painted nursery. The baby who'd been soothed by her lullabies, who'd grown familiar with the scent of her favorite perfume that still lingered on her pillow. As we prepared to take our biological children home, I made a decision that would have made Sarah smile. I asked Lisa if I could adopt her son too. Now I have both boys, and the family Sarah always dreamed of.